Welcome back to The Hook on Woodward Sports Network. All right, guys, we've got Dan Miller joining us, the voice of the Detroit Lions. Dan, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, Dano.
Good to
We're
see you,
doing
Dano.
great. Hey, Dan, before these guys even start getting to you and picking your brain on all kinds of mini camp stuff, I got to ask you, do you like hockey playoffs?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, look, it's funny because growing up in Washington, D.C., the Caps weren't a big deal. When I left there in 97, they were just starting to get good. But it's interesting just seeing the difference in the two cities. Now, D.C.'s different now because the Caps got good and people jumped on. But there were times when I was in D.C. where you were getting better ratings for soccer games at RFK than you were for the Caps. But you came here and you became immersed in it. And, you know, I got here in between the two championships in 97 and 98. So what an incredible time to be here and you know, just dive in full bore.
Well, you're the first, one of the only ones, Dan. Appreciate you coming on. I mean, I might have to check out this NHL. I was told that nobody watches it anymore. We're all about the football. And I wanted everybody to know, and I wanted you to know, after the Lions draft, the person I felt worse for was you, because the pronunciations of this lineup, sir.
I still can't get him.
What was the first thing that came to your mind as, you know, obviously, Penei Sewell, and you're not looking at the names, you're looking at the talent, but then you have to realize that you have to repeat a lot of these names throughout the year. How does Dan Miller go about preparing for that?
No, I mean, look, when I saw the name, and I did not know how to say Onzarike when they drafted him. When I saw that come down, I'm like, okay, what do I do with that? And then they draft, you know, Alim McNeil. I can work with that. And then they're not done. If Ifeatu Melifonwu comes along, and I'm like, okay,
killer.
where are we going? Then Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's Mac. You figure it out and you get used to it. When they drafted Amani Oruwariye, I spoke to him shortly afterwards, and I said, you know what, man, you might just become AO. And he goes, that's cool, but you figure it out. You just hope you don't have to say it fast on some of them. But it was funny that night on Twitter. It's just funny how people are so tuned into that, because I started getting a lot of condolence notes from people just saying, I can't believe you're going to have to endure this. And then it was just pick after pick after pick. And finally they got to Derek Barnes in the fourth round. And I was like, okay, I can handle that one. We're good here. But bottom line, we all hope that they're as good as their names are, because it certainly is the all-name draft. There's no doubt about that.
Hey, Danny, first of all, thanks for coming on. And second of all, this new regime, you've been here through a lot of them. So have we all here. But this one seems to have some teeth to it, literally some teeth to it, with Dan Campbell. And yesterday he goes on with the Barstool guys and says he wants a pet lion to walk around. I mean, this guy is who wouldn't want to play for Dan Campbell and this whole regime?
No, I mean, there's something to that. And look, I can't sit here and tell you that this is going to work. I can't sit here and tell you that this is different. I can't sit here and tell you that after all these years, they got it right, and this is going to be the group that sends them through. Look, I have fallen in love at a lot of press conferences for all the different sports. And you begin to think about it, and you realize why. For a guy to get to the point where he becomes named a general manager or named a head coach in a given sport or a manager in baseball, number one, they know the sport. Number two, they have some measure of charisma just to get to that point. So in giving a press conference and expressing what their vision of what they ultimately want to do is, they should be able to sell that to you. You should walk out feeling like, boom, this is going to work. You should feel that way. And I've felt that way. I felt that way with Stan Van Gundy. I felt that way with, you know, you can name the coach that's walked through here from, you know, all of them. For hockey. Bottom line is this, guys. They are doing things in a way that shows they understand where they are as a franchise. They didn't come in here and say, we're a player or two away. They came in here and said, we got work to do. We have a retool to put together. They don't like the word rebuild. And their moves show you that they're not going out and throwing crazy money at players because they believe that guy's going to come in and make the difference. When Matthew was here, the temptation was always to say, man, if we just get one or two more guys, we got that quarterback. We're going to have this thing put in place and it's going to be put together. And you know what? For a while, maybe that was true, but they didn't find the right combination. It didn't work. So now they've changed it, and now they're rebuilding it, and they're taking this thing down to the studs. And by studs, I mean your Ragnows and Deckers and guys that you're going to build around going forward, and then you're filling in the pieces after that. To me, everything they've done looks like they're building towards 2022. Now, they're not throwing 2021 away. They're going to do everything they can to win, but they're getting out from under this cap. They're finding out what some of these young players can do. And then you will have a much more pointed to-do list next off season. And I think that's the way to do it, because you have to build this thing on a solid foundation, as nobody here knows better than Darren. You have to build this thing on a solid foundation that can last, with guys that can lead and your stars that can show the way, and then everybody else kind of fills through.
Dan, let's talk a little bit about their first mini camp that they just had. They're without their first draft pick, Penei Sewell, out with COVID. Do you think that that's going to impact Sewell at all, the team? Do you think he really missed much? He seems to be doing fine.
No quarterbacks were
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he's fine. I mean, I haven't heard anything about his symptoms or anything like that. But look, I think anytime you miss on the field, it's not great, but it's not a huge deal. I mean, look, he's going to come in here in the next couple of weeks. He'll get workouts in. They still have, OTAs and minicamp coming up that he's going to be able to get his work in. And then he'll hit training camp and he'll hit the ground running. Look, he's a guy who hasn't played football in a while because he opted out of this past season. So you'd like to see him get as much work as possible. But I don't believe that missing rookie camp sets him back in any way. I just think that they need to, make sure he's healthy, get him in here as soon as he can. And then, like any rookie, teach him how to be a pro football player, because guys don't come here really necessarily understanding that. And I think that's one other thing that we should touch on, guys, when you talk about this staff and the way that they do things is the most important thing these guys are going to do is take all those draft picks that we just talked about and develop them. And take Jeff Okudah and develop them. And take Amani Oruwariye and develop them. And take Tracy Walker and get him back on the trajectory that he was going into last season, where he kind of fell off a little bit. They got to take all these young players and teach them how to be pro football players and maximize their potential. The best teams draft well, develop well, and those guys become your players. You don't build through free agency. You don't build through trades. You build through young players that come into your system and fit a mold of guy that you're looking for, and you teach them how to be part of your system, part of your guys, play the way you want to play, and move forward. What doesn't work is guys who don't make it to their second contract. Guys who come in and flame out. You need to find a way to develop these young players. And that, to me, more than anything, is what this upcoming year is about.
That's awesome. Talking to Dan Miller, voice of the Detroit Lions. Obviously, you can hear him on Fox 2. I'm going to stay within the division, but I want to know your thoughts, because I saw a tweet today from Aaron Rodgers saying that you'll probably better off seeing me at a family reunion than in a Packers jersey. Is there weight to him being moved this year, or because of his contract, is this more just stuff being played in the media? Or do you think, and I bring this up because Aaron Rodgers not in Green Bay, better for the Lions, right? So is there more juice to this, Dan, that he might not be back there because he's saying stuff like this?
Well, look, Darren, you've seen these situations before, and you've been around them. If a guy doesn't want to be in a certain place, he can force his way out. And Aaron Rodgers can force his way out of Green Bay. They can't hold on to this thing forever thinking that he's going to change his mind and come back. What sticks out to me is you're dealing with a really prideful guy who I don't think is of the mind to say, oh, okay, it's fine, I'm coming back. I really feel like there's a very solid chance he's not going to be in Green Bay next year. And I think the relationship seems to have deteriorated. Nobody has denied the fact that they have sent multiple front office and coaching personnel out to California to try to talk him down, and it hasn't worked. So he's still of the mind that he'd like to be elsewhere. If you're a Packer fan or that organization, it's really unfortunate because he still, as he showed last year with the season that he had, is playing at a high level. And no question, Darren, for anybody playing in the NFC North, it is a good thing. I'd say probably Chicago and Minnesota would seem just on paper to be in a better position to take advantage of it right now. But you got 17 games to play and you have no idea what's going to happen. And if you're the Lions, the fact that you would get to face them twice without Aaron Rodgers, you'd sign up for that. It's a different world without one of the best of all time at quarterback with them if that comes to pass.
Right.
Hey, Danny, Pro Football Focus put out their top 10s, and actually they ranked all the positions, but we'll talk quarterbacks now. Their top 10 is pretty much, it is what it is. At number 11, they have Matthew Stafford. At number 26, they have Jared Goff. They've ranked Justin Fields of the Bears ahead of Jared Goff. What is your take on just those three names?
Well, I mean, one, Stafford, it's all in front of him. I mean, look, he's on the best team that he's been on. Best team he was on here was 2014 with the Lions. That team did not have a good offensive system. He's in a terrific offensive system now. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do. He is going into year 13. He has had some injury issues, which gives you pause. But he's got a good defense, and he's got a coach that's going to play to his strengths. So I think you could see him shoot up that list very easily. I think a lot of what you're seeing is based on the fact that they didn't win a lot of games in Detroit. And frankly, they didn't build the right team around him in Detroit either. That's no secret. Look, he had better than 23rd in the league in rushing one time in his entire time in Detroit. It's tough to win as a quarterback like that. Jared Goff, look, I mean, we saw last year when he didn't start in the playoff game that he had fallen from grace, if you want to put it that way, in Los Angeles with the Rams, and a lot of people lost faith in him. Two people that didn't lose faith in him are Brad Holmes and Ray Agnew, who came from the Rams and are now the Lions general manager and his right-hand man in Ray Agnew. So I think that they believe that the Jared Goff that they drafted number one overall in Los Angeles can still be a very effective pro quarterback. And I think that's why you saw the Lions include him in the trade. And I think that's why you didn't see the Lions draft a quarterback, i.e. probably Justin Fields, in this past draft. They believe that it can work. And if you're a Lions fan, believe me, by far, the best case scenario for this football team is that Jared Goff is still a difference maker at quarterback. And let's not forget, he's had more success in the playoffs than anybody we've seen here at quarterback in a long time. Now, you can say that was the team. Whatever the case, guy's been to a Super Bowl and won playoff games. But if you can, let's just say, resurrect his career and make him the guy, then those 4 number 1 picks you have over the next 2 years don't have to be packaged to move up to get a quarterback or use one of them to take a quarterback. You're filling other positions with those picks, and Goff becomes your guy at quarterback. So, look, the 20 and where it is right now, it's a byproduct of the way that people saw things fall apart for him with the Rams. As far as Fields goes, look, terrifically talented player, but, and this is, I would say this about any rookie quarterback, moving to the NFL is a whole different deal with a whole different set of challenges. So we'll see how he deals with those in Chicago. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm thrilled that he's on my football team right now, but now he's got to go out and prove it.
Dan, you hear a lot of talk, where people just really don't have high expectations of the Detroit Lions this year. They have them winning 5 games max. Now, I'm of the little bit different.
5.5.
Lions. Yeah, 5.5.
5.5
max, right? So not winning much, that's for sure. I'm of the mindset that we actually have a real shot at this. And I'm actually of the mindset that if Aaron Rodgers is no longer in our division, watch out, guys. We're really going to start winning some games here. So, but you're hearing, well, they didn't really do much at helping Goff out with a shiny weapon to throw to. How many games do you think that the Lions are going to win this year?
You know
who
what?
do you think is going to become that shiny weapon for
He
him?
can't say that. He's got 17.
Yeah, I don't have a number for you, but I think, look, no, and here's the reason. Nobody wants to hear me say 11. because they're going to say you're the voice of the team and you're just playing homer. And nobody
said
wants
10.
to hear me say 2 because they're going to say you're the voice of the team. Why are you crapping all over the team? So, but look, there's a lot of questions. They were historically bad on defense last year. So how much better can that defense be? How fast can these rookies come along? How much of a difference does Michael Brockers make? How far can Jeff Okudah and Amani Oruwariye come? How far back, as I mentioned before, can Tracy Walker come? Okay, so that's just the questions on defense. Offense, you're going to have a good offensive line. I don't think anybody's arguing that. But what is Jared Goff? And his shiny weapon right now is TJ Hawkinson. And then we're going to see what some of these other receivers can do presented with an opportunity. Rashad Perryman's had opportunities before. This is a new one for him. We'll see what he can do here in Detroit. Williams has had it before. We'll see what he can do here in Detroit. So I think it's, look, I think there's a lot of questions out there around this team. And I think until you kind of see the answers for those, it's really tough to say how good they're going to be. As I said to somebody about 10 minutes ago, I don't know how they could possibly be any worse on defense. So hopefully new coaching staff, guys feeling a little bit more freedom out there and new faces, they can be better. I mean, again, historically bad, and in some cases the worst in franchise history. So that thing's got to get better just because it can't get much worse.
My question, though, and along Pilar's line, Dan, because you've done this for a long time, being the voice of the Detroit Lions, right? And this isn't a homer question, but this is how excited are you to broadcast this team and watch the direction they're going? That the one thing is that I guess out of 10, how excited going into this season? Because to me, this is one of the more exciting seasons than that we've had in the past 10, 15 years, at least going in because of new expectations and a new regime that we all believe in, and things that you were talking about earlier. Where's Dan Miller's excitement level at? Because, like you said, I don't think they'll be as bad on defense. How can they be? They got a little bit on offense. I think this is a team that is going to be a team that no one wants to play.
Here's the thing, Mac, and this is what sports are all about. Sports are about hope, and hope comes about oftentimes through change. And it doesn't mean necessarily that change is going to be good, but it's something different, and that gives you a reason to hope that it's going to be better. And the reason that free agency in every sport is such a big deal, the draft in every sport is such a big deal, is because signing a free agent and drafting a player brings you hope. And while I liked Matt Patricia and I liked Bob Quinn and I had a terrific working relationship with them, it didn't work. So it was time for change. They've brought in this new group. Watching what this new group is doing, I really like the way they're approaching it. I like the things they say, the vision they have. So what does that bring? It brings hope. So the answer to your question is, I'm really excited because what I was watching this past season looked a lot like what I had seen the season before. And that wasn't working. And it didn't look like it was going anywhere. So it was time for a change. You've brought about change. You brought in a new group. I think the feeling that I get from everybody on the street and people I talk to at the gas station, at the grocery store, at the restaurant, wherever it is, they like what they're seeing. They like the message. They like the vibe. And they want to see how this thing works out. So look, I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's give these guys a chance. There's a lot of people around the league that think Brad Holmes is an outstanding talent evaluator. So have at it, man. There's a lot of people that think that Dan Campbell is the kind of coach that players want to play for. So let's rock and roll. Get him in there. There's a lot of people that believe that this coaching staff that he's put together is really, really good. I'm excited to see what they can do. So, yeah, I'm ready to go. And again, I think it just goes back to what we were saying. It's change, it's new, it's opportunity, it's unknown, but it is moving away from something that didn't work to try something else. And when you do that in life, and it seems to be guided by the right principles, then it makes sense to you and it gives you a reason to be palpably excited. And I am. Let's go. Let's see what we got here. And I'm not weighing it all on 2021. Like I said, I think they're approaching this like it is more than a one-year rebuild. I anticipate that we're going to see improvement, and that improvement, if it goes to their plan, will be improvement that you'll see over the next several years. And I'm not saying it's a 5-year plan or anything like that. It's not what the NFL's built for. But I think that there was substantial work that had to be done when they got here. And I think we're seeing them do that. And one of the things I like most is they're being patient about it.
Hey, I know you got to go, Dan. 5 o'clock news coming up here, 6 o'clock news, the works, the whole 9 yards. But Sheila Ford Hamp, her head in her hands, the picture that we all saw last year was the turning point, obviously. We all kind of knew that day it's going to change. What is she bringing that the other Fords maybe didn't?
Well, I think you've seen a progression of change from Mr. Ford, who was patient to a fault and trusted people and wanted to see the people that he hired, wanted to see the people that he hired work out. And he stuck with them oftentimes too long. I think Mrs. Ford came in and was not as patient. We saw her fire an offensive coordinator during the season. We saw her fire a head coach and a GM during the season. And I think that she was somebody who changed the way things are done. Now I think Sheila's putting her own stamp on it. From the day that they got rid of Quinn and Patricia, they said they wanted more cohesion. They said they wanted people that were going to work together more so than the previous staff had. And I think if you've heard anything from Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, it's been exactly the vision that she had. It's been a group of people that are sticking together, that have a shared vision, that are moving forward together. Throw Chris Spielman in there, the entire coaching staff in there, Rod Wood in there, whoever you want to. And I think it's a different way of doing things. And you know, look, I think if you're Sheila Ford, you are driven to get this thing right, because you have spent a good portion of your life listening to people say that your family can't get it right. And I know if that were me, that it would be my driving force to show, you know what, we haven't gotten it right, but we can do it now. And I honestly believe from day one, she has had that kind of drive. The people that I've talked to have told me she has had that kind of drive, but she wants to do it the right way. She wants people within that building to feel like they're a part of it and important, and to have the right people in place. And she believes she does now, and we're going to watch it all unfold before us.
Wanting to do this since she was a little girl, and her dad kind of said, okay, honey, go do this. And she's got her shot now. And I keep my fingers crossed like all Lion fans do. Dan, we want you to have a great season, and great seasons coming up. We appreciate you. And
I just say
we'll
that she got blackballed by her family.
Yeah.
But
Well,
thanks for everything as
I'm
always,
gonna say,
Dan.
but Dan, those last words that you said right now, talking about Sheila, that as a woman, let me tell you something, that gave me chills. There is nothing more fierce in this world than a woman gets out of bed and puts on her shoes, whether they're high heels, flip-flops, or tennis shoes, and says, I'm going to prove somebody wrong, and just watch me.
Or just yell at the husband.
Guys, here's how I look at it. She's not that much older than me. And if I spent my life listening to people say that my family couldn't get something right, and I was hearing it all the time, let me tell you something. There'd be nothing that would drive me more than to prove people wrong. We talk about players with chips on their shoulders. I think owners can have chips on their shoulders. Now, you got to do it right. And I think she believes with her vision, she is doing it right. But from my outside looking in and people that I have talked to, she is absolutely 100% driven. Does that guarantee you anything? No, she's going to do it her way. And I'm excited to see how it works out.
Dan, thanks for taking time out of your day. I know you got you're busy tonight. Well, you're watching you on Fox 2. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks
All
as
right,
always,
Dan.
Dan.
Dan
Thanks.
Miller.